leave some comments. Let me know what you're thinking, any ideas you might have. I read all of those and I'll respond to any of them. So, you know, if you got something to say or something, you know, you think I should know, or if I mess anything up in any of these videos, like with any of these characters or anything like that, certainly let me know. I don't know every character, or, you know, try to act like I do, so I'm sure I slip up on some stuff. But what we're going to be doing today is a bit similar to one of my other videos, because I did the top 25 villains of DC. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to do the top 25 villains of Marvel. The list is from the same place as well that I got the DC one from IGN, so credit to them. I didn't come up with this list. This is their list, so I want to make sure that they're credited for that. But with that being said, we can jump right into it. It's a list of 25. Now, some of these I did look through it. Some of these I am not familiar with at all. But it's still cool to like read about them and learn about them. And you know, maybe you guys are more familiar with some of the ones that I'm not. And if that's the case, let me know in the comments. I certainly am open to it. So let's go ahead and get started with number 25. We have MODOK, M-O-D-O-K. Now he's got an interesting look. I'll see if I can try to get it to focus for you guys. He's like that. He's like a big head and then like tiny body. But let's see what it says. It says MODOK's mission statement is clear. It's right there in his name. Mental organism designed only for killing. Okay, so at least we know what the name means. I didn't know that. This oversized villain was bioengineered by the scientist of AIM to be the ultimate super smart tyrannical leader. And while his appearance may be comical, MODOK is certainly good at killing things. MODOK is a multi-purpose villain in the Marvel Universe. He's an enemy to many heroes, especially the Avengers and Fantastic Four. His master plans can be fiendishly brilliant or laughably silly, and sometimes both at once. There are even multiple versions of MODOK floating around the Marvel multiverse, including MODAM, mental organism designed for aggressive maneuvers, and MODOG, mental organism designed only for genocide. So I've never really seen anything involving him, so I don't really have anything to add to that. But he certainly does have a weird look, so when I first see him, he doesn't come off as like, you know, threatening or imposing or anything like that. Hold on, let me get a drink, because my throat is already drying out on me. We just started. Alrighty. Sorry about that. So next we have the Abomination. This is from the Hulk movies. I remember seeing this one. Give you a photo up so you guys can see what he looks like. There we go. He kind of looks like a burned up Hulk. I mean, at least that's what I thought he looked like when I first saw him. And I think he was played by, what's that guy's name? I think it's Eli Roth. That may not be his name, but I think that it's like Eli Roth or something. He was a very, very good actor. Sorry, my throat is really drying out on me today. Let's see. Hulk may be the strongest one there is, but the Abomination can certainly give him a run for his money. The Abomination is Hulk's dark mirror. Formerly a KGB agent, Emil Blonsky dosed himself with gamma radiation and transformed into a Hulk-like creature. Unlike Hulk, the Abomination retains his human intelligence while transformed, which is a good thing for Blonsky considering that his transformation was permanent. Now I guess it's kind of that's not really true now, considering the way that they've done with Hulk is now he's you know, aware of who he is, but still has the capabilities of Hulk. So that's not necessarily true anymore. Though he's largely been out of commission in the Marvel Universe, lately the Abomination remains one of Hulk's most iconic foes. He was the natural choice to oppose the Jade Giant in his most recent movie. That's the movie I saw, and it was very good. I know some other people didn't enjoy it, which the Hulk movies are kind of really hard to, I guess, make in a live-action movie because he's so strong, and in some of the comics he's like insanely strong, so it's really hard for them to kind of make it compelling. So I can see both sides of it, but the actor that played Abomination, he did really good, so that's why I liked it, and I was a big fan of his. Let's see, number 23, we have the Enchantress. This is one I'm not familiar with. Let's see, I'll show you guys a picture of her. There we go. So, she's from the Thor's universe, or whatever you want to call it. Thor is happy to battle frost giants, fire demons, and dragons all day long. If it can be smashed with a hammer, it's right up his alley. That's why the Enchantress is one of his greatest villains. Her schemes can't be overcome simply by swinging at it. With his hammer, a skilled trickster and sorceress, the Enchantress won't rest until she possesses everything she desires, and it just so happens that she desires the God of Thunder. Often accompanied by her hulking bodyguard Scourge. I'm not familiar with them either. The Enchantress is a force to be reckoned with in Asgard, Midgard, or any of the 9 realms. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right, Midgard. Like I said, I've seen the Thor movies, but as far as really keeping up with Thor or his universe and all that, it's not really something I've done. So I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You guys can let me know in the comments if I'm not. Let's see, number 22. I'm actually a big fan of these. It's the Sentinels. One of my actually favorite comic book movies is X-Men: Days of Future Past, which these are the main villains. They were created to be able to destroy the X-Men and, like, you know, keep humans safe or whatever. And they can, like, do all of, like, the X-Men's moves essentially and their powers. So if you haven't seen Days of Future Past, that is one of the best movies in my opinion. It's super good. But let's see what it says about them. The X-Men were formed to battle intolerance and work to foster peace and understanding between humans and mutants. The Sentinels are the ultimate representation of the hatred man holds for mutants. These giant robots are engineered to take down mutants by any means necessary, and even though the X-Men team includes some of the most powerful beings on the planet, the Sentinels have endlessly adapted and improved their weapons to claim countless mutant lives. As we've seen from various alternate future storylines like Days of Future Past and its recent movie adaptation, these robotic hunter-killers will remain a threat long after the likes of Magneto and Mystique have died away. As long as humanity fears mutants, there will be Sentinels. They have a photo here, which they didn't look like this at all in the X-Men movie. I don't know if it's gonna focus or not. I don't think it's gonna focus. No, it's not gonna focus. Like in the movie Days of Future Past, they look more like they're just all like metal looking with like these scales, like these metal scales. It's hard to explain, but if you're a fan of X-Men and you've never seen that movie, I would definitely recommend it. It's one of my top favorite movies as far as Marvel and DC movies go. Let's see, number 21, we have Viper. This is another one I'm not familiar with. Try to few have played such a crucial role in the organization or caused as much trouble for heroes like Wolverine, Captain America, and Nick Fury as Viper has. As if having a literal army of henchmen wasn't enough, Viper is a deadly martial artist and a master of poisons. She definitely earned the moniker of Madam Hydra. Viper has also enjoyed a big mainstream boost in recent years thanks to the reoccurring appearances in the TV series Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and her role in the movie The Wolverine. I've seen The Wolverine, but I haven't seen those TV shows. It's hard for me to get into like those TV shows because they're so limited on what they can actually show with the actual violence and stuff like that. It's just hard for me to buy into it because it's kind of like very, very watered down, if you will. Like, they'll insinuate that something's happening, but they won't actually show somebody getting blown up or something like that. And I know that's just standard for cable television, so I'm not saying that's, they're the only shows that do that, because there's a lot of them that do that. But for my preference, if I'm wanting to watch a Marvel or DC show or movie, I wanted to actually show what's happening. That's just my personal preference. I know people love these shows. I'm not saying they're bad by any means. I just personally haven't watched them. Let's see. Another one at number 20 is somebody I'm not too familiar with as well, is Lady Deathstrike. It's a cool name, but I just not too familiar. What's better than having 6 retractable and adamantium claws and a healing factor? Try 10 retractable claws and a boatload of cybernetic enhancements. Lady Deathstrike's father invented the adamantium bonding process. Anybody that's unfamiliar, that's what Wolverine has. And she made it her mission to kill anyone she feels dishonors that legacy. Naturally, that puts her in Wolverine's path on many occasions. Deathstrike is one of Wolverine's best villains because she always gives the old knucklehead a run for his money. Neither fighter has been able to kill the other, but they've both drawn plenty of blood. Their rivalry also made for what is arguably the most memorable fight scene in all of the X-Men movies. See if it'll focus on her so you guys can see what her claws look like. You can see them there a bit. I don't know why it'll focus on some and not the others. I try to hold it as steady as I can. But let's keep it moving. Number 19, we have Annihilus. I'm not familiar with this one. I'm sorry that Marvel has so many of these characters that they don't really showcase in the movies. So if you don't really read up on the comics, you're just not going to be too familiar. But I promise you there is ones on this list that I do know, especially once we start getting towards the bottom of the list. So let's see. The Marvel Universe has a companion universe in the form of the antimatter-based Negative Zone. And in the Negative Zone, Annihilus reigns supreme. The armored insect-like villain wields the Cosmic Control Rod, a weapon granting him control of the Negative Zone's billions of inhabitants. Annihilus began his career as a foe of the Fantastic Four, but no story showcased the threat he poses to all life, like the Annihilation storyline, where he led an invasion force that nearly succeeded in subjugating the entire universe. The galaxy's greatest heroes have been forced to accept there's no stopping Annihilus, only living with the constant threat of a total annihilation. So like I said, I'm not familiar with him, but he sounds really, really cool. And I really like when they do those Negative Zone type stories, like in DC they have the the Batman Who Laughs. It's essentially the same type of storyline where it's basically the opposite of everything that's good, that's everything that's bad, and so those are really, really cool. Let's see, number 18, we have Ultron. There's Sometimes you set out to build something to help mankind and wind up creating a genocidal robot with an audible. I don't even know how to say this word. I'm not even gonna try. That's what Hank Pym did when he invented Ultron. This artificial intelligence has dedicated itself to wiping out humanity and its father, not necessarily in that order. Ultron is an imposing villain by virtue of the fact that its core body is usually built of nigh indestructible adamantium, and because it can constantly swap bodies and upgrade itself, Ultron is a threat to the Avengers. Well, Ultron is a threat to the Avengers will never be truly able to defeat, which of course made him the ideal villain to oppose the team in their second MCU adventure. Yeah, from if anybody hasn't seen it, they're referring to the Age of Ultron movie. Not a bad movie. If you haven't watched it, I would definitely recommend it. Number 17, I'm surprised this person is ranked 17 out of 25, but they're one of my personal favorites, and I really, really hope that we'll get to see them in an actual movie where they really, really go deep into the character as making them the main villain. And we have Galactus, which here's a photo, if it'll focus for you guys. I don't think it will. But Galactus is huge. He, essentially in this photo, that's a planet in his hand, just to give you an idea of how big he is. Let's see what it says. Galactus is an all-powerful being tasked with serving cosmic connaissance, which is a fancy way of saying he eats planets to make sure the universe as a whole stays healthy. But try telling that to anyone who lives on a planet that's about to be Galactus's dinner. For Marvel heroes, threats don't come bigger or more dire than Galactus. Earth has been on his menu several times, and only through desperate actions and out-of-the-box thinking have heroes like Fantastic Four been able to drive him away. Sooner or later, his hunger will prevail. And I'm pretty sure that Galactus, the only reason that it's not like he just does it just to be like, oh, well, I just want to eat this planet. I'm pretty sure he has to do it, or otherwise he dies. So it's just a necessity for him. Like, if he doesn't eat the planets and get their energy or whatever, he dies. So there's a method to his madness, but he is still a villain at the end of the day. But he's one of my personal favorites, and I really, really hope that we get to see him in a live-action movie here soon. Let's see, at number 16, we have a Kang the Conqueror. Let's see if it'll focus. Probably not, but you guys can at least get an idea of what he looks like. Kang is proof of how dangerous a combination of boredom and time travel can be. Kang originally hails from the 30th century, but he used the advanced technology of his era to travel back in time and meddle to his heart's desire. This technology makes Kang a god to the people of the past, and so Kang has come to view himself as the rightful lord and conqueror of pretty much everything that ever was and will be. Some know him as the Pharaoh or Rama Tut. Others know him as Immortus or Iron Lad. I like that one, Iron Lad. But the one constant with Kang is that he can never be trusted. His ambition isn't bound by time or space, and thanks to the tricky nature of time travel, he's a threat the Avengers will never be able to get rid of. So, that's pretty cool. I don't know if they've had him in any of the live-action movies, not to my knowledge. But if they have, let me know, because he sounds pretty cool, and I would definitely check that out. Let's see, number 15, we have Bullseye. Let's see, he's just like Daredevil. That's what he looks like. Bullseye is one of the most feared assassins in the Marvel Universe. That's not just because of his sadistic streak, but also the fact he's a superhumanly talented marksman. In Bullseye's hands, anything can become a deadly weapon, a playing card, paperclip, even a tooth. Because of his talent and prestige, Bullseye has long been one of the preferred hired killers on the Kingpin's payroll. That in turn has put him in the path of men like Daredevil and the Punisher. The Bullseye Daredevil rivalry has been persistent for years, with Bullseye claiming Matt Murdock's loved ones and punishing the hero to cross a line he'll never be able, or pushing the hero to cross a line he'll never be able to return from. For Bullseye, their rivalry is both business and pleasure. If anybody didn't see they did the Daredevil movie, the live action one, and he was the main villain in it, which makes sense. But if anybody hasn't seen that one, it's definitely a good movie. I like the Daredevil one. Just making sure that everything is still recording. Yeah, we look pretty good. So let's keep going. Number 14. This is a very, very popular one that a lot of people will know. We got Venom. It's gonna focus. Nope. Wolverine has Sabretooth and Spider-Man has Venom. Just like Sabretooth, Venom is an amplified version of his nemesis. When Eddie Brock stumbled across Spider-Man's discarded alien costume, he inherited boosted versions of Peter Parker's powers and the symbiote's hatred for its former wearer. That quickly made Venom a force to be reckoned with, and even among rogue gallery as diverse and fearsome as Spider-Man's. Venom has persisted even after being abandoned by a repentant Brock. It found new host in the form of a mob boss's son, the former Scorpion, Mac Gargan, and even in Peter Parker's good friend Flash Thompson. Though the Venom suit is being used as a weapon for good these days, its original incarnation was an incredibly evil monster with a sadistic streak as long as its tongue. Fun fact about Venom, he was actually a fan-made character that they liked, so that the creators of Spider-Man, Marvel, whoever, liked so much that they actually bought the design and the rights to Venom from the fan, and then brought him in, and now he's been a mainstay. So whoever came up with Venom, that's pretty cool. That that you had a fan-made character that ended up becoming one of the main characters of the Spider-Man story. So kudos to them. Let's see, sticking with another Spider-Man villain at number 13, we have Green Goblin. A bunch of people be familiar with him through the Spider-Man movies. See if it'll focus. Nope. I know it generally doesn't focus, but on some of them it does. So I still try to at least show it to give you guys an idea of, who I'm talking about, so you can kind of like paint that picture. Let's see, the Green Goblin will always rank among Spider-Man's greatest foes. No villain has taken so much from Peter Parker or left such a lasting impact on his life. Once simply a powerful businessman, Norman Osborn was driven insane by his exposure to the strength-boosting Oz formula. One Halloween costume, glider, and satchel full of pumpkin bombs later, the Green Goblin was born. Osborn left his mark when he caused the death of Peter Parker's love, Gwen Stacy. He since cheated death and even managed to elevate himself to an Avengers-class villain when he pretty much took over the world as the head of Hammer. But these days, Osborn is getting back to his roots as a costume villain. I really like Green Goblin, especially in the early Spider-Man movies when he was played by what is his name? Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy, but I know his name. I'm thinking of the actor right now. But he was a very good actor, and his dad was a good actor too, as Green Goblin before he died. Well, in the movie, spoiler, before he dies, and then his son takes over. But they both did it very, very well, so I was a big fan of those early Spider-Man movies. Hold on, let me take another drink. My throat's getting dry. Let's see, at number 12, we have Juggernaut. I'm a big fan of Juggernaut. My favorite one was when he was played by Vinnie Jones. I really like Vinnie Jones as an actor. He's very, very underrated, and I thought he was perfect for Juggernaut. Before he was an internet meme, Juggernaut was an unstoppable powerhouse capable of going toe-to-toe with the Hulk. But as the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, Juggernaut tends to direct his wrath towards the X-Men. I didn't know he was actually the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, Professor X. That's really cool. Kane Marco isn't a mutant like his stepbrother. Instead, his power derives from a mystical crystal that grants him strength and invulnerability from a deity known as Sidorak. There's a reason his favorite catchphrase is "Nothing can stop the Juggernaut." He also says, another one of his main catchphrases is, "It's clobbering time." Aside from being a major X-Men villain, much of Juggernaut's appeal rests on the fact that he's tried to turn his life around several times. He even joined the X-Men in the past, but it seems the demonic influence of the Sidorak and Kane's desire to smash things wins over every time. I really like Juggernaut. Like I said, he's really cool. Number 11, we have Sabretooth. He's the arch nemesis of Wolverine. They're very, very similar as looking as well. Let's see if I can show you guys. There we go. Wolverine has lived long enough and fought hard enough that he's acquired quite a few enemies, but none have shared such a hatred. I cannot read this one. But none have shared such a heated rivalry with Logan over the decades as Sabretooth. Victor Creed is basically an amped up version of Logan. He's bigger, meaner, and not bound by any sense of morality. He's all too happy to kill people just for the fun of it. The full extent of the connection between Wolverine and Sabretooth has always been a mystery, which is a major part of Sabretooth's appeal. Are they brothers, former roommates? Is Sabretooth Wolverine's father? One thing that is clear is that Sabretooth has made it his mission to prove that Wolverine is every bit the savage animal that he is. That would be cool if they do go more into that story, and especially if they did end up being like brothers or that's his father. That would be super awesome. I really enjoy the X-Men movies. I can't wait for them to make another one. Let's see, number 10, we have Mystique. Everybody's probably familiar with her. Jennifer Lawrence played her. She did a very good job, too. Raven Darkholm has the mutant ability to shapeshift and transform her body at will. Thanks to her power, Mystique is effectively immune to age or injury. She can go anywhere and be anyone. The world is her oyster, and she's rarely been reluctant to abuse her powers. Mystique also frequently depicted as the leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants, fighting for the survival of her race by any means necessary. But though she's often battled and betrayed the X-Men, there's a more complex nature to Raven's personality. Mystique has long been a big player in the X-Men films, and her stock has only risen thanks to her central role in X-Men First Class and its sequels. Yeah, especially the last few movies, she's been very big. She was very, very good in Days of Future Past. Like I said, she was played by Jennifer Lawrence. Very, very good. At number 9, we have Kingpin. So you can show he's like a mob boss. I really like Kingpin because I really like mafia, like movies and stuff, like Sopranos, Godfather, all that. So I think Kingpin's really cool just, because of that. Let's see, what if there was a secret mastermind controlling all the criminal activity in New York City? From the street corner to the boardroom, that might be impossible in real life, but in the Marvel Universe, that's where Kingpin comes in. Wilson Fisk rose from obscurity to become one of the most powerful crime lords in the world. His money and resource makes him untouchable to politicians and law enforcement, while his army of hired thugs and assassins make it all but impossible to topple his regime. When even heroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil have failed to defeat Fisk, you know he's a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, I don't remember seeing too much of him in like live-action movies. I know he's been in them, but he's never been like the main guy to my knowledge. So if I'm wrong, definitely correct me. But like I said, he's like a mob boss, and I think that's really cool. Number 8, we have Dr. Octopus. He's one of the ones people should be familiar with from the Spider-Man movies. And oh, no, go back. There we go. And he did very, very good. Like the Spider-Man movie, it was like the first one, I believe, first or second one, where he was the main villain. It was super, super good. That's one of my favorite movies. Let's see. A spider has 8 limbs, but so does an octopus. And thanks to Dr. Octopus's 4 mechanical arms, even Spider-Man's strength and reflexes are hard-pressed to overcome his might. But it's not the arms that are Otto Octavius's best asset. Instead, it's his keen scientific mind, one that has brought New York and the entire world to the brink of destruction in the past. Always among Spidey's best villains, Otto rose to the top over the past couple years thanks to the superior Spider-Man storyline, where he stole Peter Parker's body and tried to prove he could be a better hero. It was also a victory for Otto, but also one for Peter, as Otto ultimately learned the vital lesson about power and responsibility. The question is whether it'll stick now that Otto is back in his own body again. I mean, probably not. It never does, just because, I mean, once you're introduced to the villain, that's what people know you for, so good chance that they're going to reintroduce you back at some point or another, which I'm cool with. Dr. Octopus is awesome. Let's see, number 7, we have Apocalypse. Let's see if it'll focus. You can see. No, but you can get the idea that he's huge. Apocalypse is one of the world's first mutants, born in the days of the ancient Egypt and forced to learn at an early age that only the strong survive. Apocalypse used celestial technology to make himself the strongest person alive. For millennia, he traveled the world battling men like Thor and Dracula, inspiring a cult of followers and furthering the process of evolution. Now, in the present day, Apocalypse is determined to make sure the only strong survive, whether they be human or mutant. Apocalypse sees himself as the rightful master of the world, and with a vast array of powers, including shape-shifting, psionic abilities, and body swapping, he certainly has the means to make it happen. And number 6, we have one that I know basically everybody's going to be familiar with, since he's been the main bad guy in all of comics here the last few years, thanks to the movies. We have Thanos, or Thanos. It's been pronounced both ways, but I'm pretty sure it's Thanos. The name Thanos is enough to inspire dread in almost every living being in the universe. Thanos is a tyrant obsessed with death, not just the concept of death or the act of killing, but the literal personification of death herself. Thanos would happily kill entire worlds to win her favor. They call him the Mad Titan for a reason. And perhaps no Marvel villain has racked up quite a body count. Thanos has a habit of amplifying his already considerable strength with cosmic artifacts like the Cosmic Cube or the Infinity Gauntlet. The latter weapon briefly morphed him into an omnipotent being, allowing him to murder half the living beings in the universe as a tribute to death. He only lost ultimate power because of the latent self-loathing streak. That quality, as much as his awesome power or his boundless ambition, is what makes Thanos a fascinating figure. He's so awesome. I really hope that we haven't seen the last of him, just because his character was so awesome. I know, was it Josh Brolin? I think that's the actor that played Thanos. He did really, really good. So if we could ever see him come back, I'm all for that. Let's see, number 5, we have Dark Phoenix. This is who the latest X-Men movie was based on. The Dark Phoenix saga is probably the X-Men's greatest story, and it features a force they've never truly been able to defeat. The Phoenix Force, to be exact, a cosmic entity of rebirth. It possessed a young Jean Grey, giving her infinite power and a rad new costume. But when the villain Mastermind used his power to control Jean, she was corrupted by her power and became the Dark Phoenix. Jean became a god godlike being of desire and impulse, as emphasized by her iconic costume, color palette change. You think Galactus is bad because he eats planets. Dark Phoenix eats entire suns, snuffing out trillions of lives in the process. Jean eventually decided to kill herself rather than let the Phoenix run rampant, and even though she has returned to life again and again, the Phoenix has proven to be a never-ending curse on her, the X-Men, and the universe at large. I wasn't a fan of the Dark Phoenix movie, but to each their own. That's just my personal preference. I think it's also because I thought Days of Future Past was so good that it's really going to be hard for another X-Men movie to live up to my expectations based on what that movie said on that. But I know some people love it, so each their own. Number 4, we have Loki. I know a bunch of people will be familiar with him just because of the movies he's been in recently. I don't think it's going to focus, but I'm sure most people know exactly who that is. The god of lies and mischief and pointy hats, Loki is ever the troublemaker. Given what he's the god of, it's surprising so many people, both heroes and villains, trust him enough to make deals with him. Perhaps he's just that good. Loki rarely takes action himself, preparing to lie, manipulate, and coerce others into wreaking havoc for him. He even convinced Odin to exile Thor. That takes talent. And lies, which he is the god of. He obviously got a huge popularity boost from the Avengers movie, but he has long been one of the most rotten backstabbers in the Marvel Universe, and with a wicked grin to match. The guy who plays Loki does such a good job. I think that's another reason why he's been able to become so popular, is because the guy that plays the role is so good. That means everything in those live action movies. If you don't have the right character, as cool as the character's backstory is, or as cool as they are in the comics, if the actor playing them isn't right, it's just not gonna work. But Loki's is perfect. Let's see. Number 3, we have Red Skull. Let's see if you guys can see. It's very kind of self-explanatory. What is, where he got his name. With his only notable features being enhanced strength and a creepy face, Red Skull is nowhere near as powerful as the other villains at the top of the list. However, he makes up with it with pure malice. His soul is black as tar, with no moral ambiguity to be found. He's the Nazi of all other Nazis. He's the Nazi all other Nazis aspire to be. This guy makes most other villains look like Golden Age heroes. He's not tragically misunderstood. He just wants to rule the world as the master race of our planet. You get the idea. It is kind of cool, his backstory, with being the Nazi general and all that. The Nazis have always been, when they're portrayed as the villains, it's very, very believable because of, obviously, what they actually did in real life. So I have no problem with Red Skull. I am surprised he's ranked number 3 though, because like they said, he's nowhere near as powerful as other villains on the list. So not sure why he's that high, but he does have a cool look. Number 2 is probably one of my favorites in the entire Marvel universe, is Magneto. See if it'll show him. Fun fact for anybody who's unaware, the gentlemen who play Magneto and Professor X in the X-Men series, they're actually partners in real life, so that's kind of cool. Let's see. Magneto is unique in that he could also be towards the top of a list of the best superheroes. As the founder of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, he started out as a fanatic obsessed with making mutants the dominant race of the planet. But thanks to his lifelong bromance with Professor X, he was rehabilitated and joined the X-Men, fighting to make the idea of peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans a reality. But he finds himself atop of the villains list because just when he starts to take the higher path, Magneto stumbles, he often succumbs to his inner rage born of being persecuted as a Jew during the Holocaust and goes back to his evil ways. His anger was born out of tragedy, so it's tempting to sympathize with him, but he always goes one step too far, forever proving that he's a villain at heart. The guy who actually plays like the younger version of Magneto in the movies, he does a fantastic job as well. Like the casting for Magneto, both young and old, is flawless. I think that Magneto's character is perfect in the movies, so I have no complaints with that. And last but not least, we have Dr. Doom. He looks really cool too. Let's see if I can get this one to focus. No, it doesn't look like it. There's no sympathizing with this guy. Dr. Doom is the epitome of arrogance and lusting for power. He believes himself to be the smartest, most gifted man in the world, which is why he's constantly going after Mr. Fantastic and his teammates to prove it. He's often teamed up with the heroes to defeat a common enemy, but never without a hidden agenda that will give him the upper hand in the end. As the ruler of Latveria, I hope I'm saying that right, he sees himself as a regal figure above reproach, but he would go to the deepest, darkest lengths to prove his dominance. He created a time machine to muck with the past. He enhanced his archaic-looking armor with all manner of weapons, spells, and gadgets, making him a scientific sorcerer who can take on the likes of Iron Man and the Thing. I like that, scientific sorcerer. He's stolen the power cosmic and the Beyonder's godlike abilities. In short, if there's power to be had, he'll find a way to make it his own. In a way, Dr. Doom is the Batman of the Marvel Universe. He's always prepared, and he has the smarts to defeat anyone. And thanks to his decoy Doom bots, it's hard to pinpoint at a time when he was ever truly defeated. But unlike Batman, his pride and arrogance often get the best of him, which usually causes his eventual downfall. In his most sickening play for power, he sacrificed his estranged wife, his one true love, to a pack of demons in exchange for ultimate magical power. They granted his wish, ripping her apart and crafting a new enchanted armor out of her skin. Wow, I did not know that. That is insane. If you're still wondering why he's Marvel's #1 villain, then wonder no more. That's pretty wild. Your wife's skin is your armor after they rip you apart, or after they rip her apart because you sacrificed her for your own power. Like that's next level. But that's it for the list. I'm glad I could make another video for you guys. I don't know what my next video will be. I have a few ideas, but I haven't settled on one yet. But it may be Dragon Ball related, you know, as you see the hoodie. It may be Dragon Ball, it may be Marvel or DC, I'm not sure. I'm also really big into sports, so I may try doing something with sports and see how that goes. But if you guys have any suggestions in the comments, definitely let me know. I'm open to it. Also, if you haven't subscribed and you're checking this out, it's greatly appreciated if you do. I'm trying to be consistent with my uploads. I think my channel's just a little over a month old, and this is like our sixth or seventh video, something like that. So I'm trying to get more and more content to you. So definitely subscribe so you'll see that. And with that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. I'll catch you guys next time. I hope everybody stays safe out there, and have a good one.